Hi, this video instruction on how to format the table of contents for multi-article dissertations is brought to you by the Graduate School. Today I'm going to be showing you two ways to set up your table of contents. One that is simple technologically, but will require you to update page numbers and headings manually upon every edit you submit to the Graduate School. The second option is slightly more challenging to set up, but will update page numbers for you with the click of a button. It is the one we recommend for most students as it will make the final steps of the review process easier. Please choose the setup that you feel best fits your paper and your familiarity with Word. We will start with the basic setup. The first step you need to do is go slowly throughout your document and type out all relevant entries to the table of contents in a simple list. We will worry about the formatting later. Right now, you just need the raw data and organization of your paper. You need to list out all front matter page titles, chapter titles, headings levels 1 and 2, as well as your chapter references, and all of your appendices titles. You do not list tables or figures, as they will have their own pages dedicated to them in the front matter. So tables and figures should not be listed in the table of contents. So it is not needed for this list. You can choose to include heading levels 3 through 5 and beyond, but TWU only requires the inclusion of heading levels 1 and 2 in the table of contents. I recommend for your list that I will demonstrate here. This matches what is in my example document. I recommend adding a tab in front of heading level 2s and 2 tabs in front of heading level 3s, and so on and so forth, so that there is a clear indication of how you've organized your paper when you are getting into the formatting of the actual table of contents later on. Once you've got all your entries and associated page numbers listed simply, we can get into the actual formatting of the table of contents required by TWU. Go to the first line of the appropriate page. It should be located after the abstract and before a list of tables or list of figures if you have those elements within your paper. Now, go to the top of the navigation pane and click References. Then click on Table of Contents. A drop-down menu will appear. Choose Manual Table of Contents. Now, select all of the text that appears in this table of contents. Right-click and choose Paragraph. Make sure that they have all the same settings. So we're going to start with 0 for left, 0 for right, no special indentation, 0 before, 0 after, double spacing, and check yes for don't add space between paragraphs of the same style, and click OK. Now select all the text again and set up your font correctly. For this example, it should be Times New Roman, regular font, size 12. Then click OK. Now all your entries look the same. Change the entries so that they match your list. How you do that is you head over here, click Copy, and then you click Paste. And then for the page number, You choose the correct one, copy, and paste. And then we're just going to go throughout this entire list one by one. Until it matches your raw data list over here. I will return in a moment with the rest of the entries. Oh, eventually, now all the entries look the same. That is fine for now. Eventually, you will run out of pre-supplied entries. Microsoft usually only creates 6 entries. To create more entries, simply highlight the entire line. Make sure to get the entire line, then copy and paste. Oh, then click enter, copy, paste until you have enough for the entirety of your list. I will return in a moment with all the entries from the raw list filled out here. Once everything is entered, it's time for finishing touches. The table of contents title should be aligned center and in all caps. All the front matter pages should be listed in all caps. Side note, sometimes students try to enter the table of contents as an entry in the table of contents. Please refrain, as it is repetitive and unnecessary for our purposes. Now for chapter titles, the TW formatting is Roman numeral, period, space, chapter title in all caps. Once you've gone through and applied that, it's time to look at your heading levels. All headings should be capitalized, not in all caps. Use the title case capitalization of your associated style guide if you're ever wondering whether a word should be capitalized or not. Now, the next thing you're going to need to do to have your table of contents match the TW formatting template is to go to the final chapter reference list here, go to the end of the line and click enter. Then you're going to want to write in all caps, appendices. This is a title line and should not have any periods or page numbers next to it. This is fine as is. Just write the word appendices. The next thing you're going to want to do to have it match the formatting template is to fix the Appendix A title formatting. The TW formatting here is the relevant letter in uppercase and then add a period and a space. Do it for all appendices titles. Finally, we're going to look at heading levels 2 and 3s in your table of contents. Your heading level 1s should be aligned with your chapter title, meaning there should be no indentation. However, your heading level 2 should be indented 0.5 inches past your heading level 1. The way to do that is by clicking at the very beginning of the heading level 2 line and clicking the tab key, and it should automatically indent it to the right location. Now for heading level 3 through 5 and beyond, you should increase the indentation by 0.5 inches past the previous heading level. So the previous heading level for heading level 3 is heading level 2. So heading level 3 should be 0.5 inches past heading level 2, meaning at 1 inch or 2 tab clicks, like so. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply these indentations throughout the table of contents. It should be quite simple. Tab once, tab twice, tab once, tab twice, tab once, tab twice, tab once, tab twice. Now your heading level 1s and 2s will not be as easily identifiable as it is in this universal guide where we actually say heading level 2, heading level 3. So you will need to refer to your basic list that I encourage you to include those tab keys for organizational purposes so that you remember which ones are heading level 2s and which ones are heading level 3s and so forth. So you remember the organization within your paper and you have them indented correctly. Now your table of contents should be properly set up. If you forgot an entry, simply copy and paste a new entry where it should be located in the document. Now, the tricky part with this manual table of contents is that you will need to remember to update page numbers every time you submit this document to the graduate school for the review. Additionally, you will need to make sure that the information in your table of contents matches the information in your paper. I've included an error in the setup to demonstrate the sort of common errors that will come up with this type of setup. My chapter 5 title is misspelled. Additionally, if you scroll down into my paper to chapter 5, it is only recommendations and conclusions, not recommendations, implications, and conclusions, as I said in the table of contents. So your table of contents title needs to match the title listed in your paper. Finally, the chapter 5 title in the TOC, finally, I input the wrong page number for the chapter 5 title as well. It should be 11, not 10. While this setup is easy technologically, you need to be methodical in your execution to ensure the information in the TOC matches the organization in your paper. And you have to keep up with the changing page numbers. But if you keep all that in mind, your table of contents is set up and ready for the review process. Now it is time to go over what I would call the universal table of contents setup. It is what is recommended for most students. The first step in creating this table of contents is going through your paper and identifying all relevant entries to populate the table. The way you do that is by going through your document and marking every page title, chapter title, and heading as heading style 1 in Word. But as you can see, if you hover over this heading style 1, it does not match the formatting of the rest of your paper. You need to go through and modify the heading style 1. The way you do that is by heading to the Home tab, the Style section, and then right-clicking over heading 1 style. And then from the drop-down menu, choose modify. And then we have many font styles that are acceptable for TWU, but for this example, we're going to do Times New Roman 12 and make sure that the font is black. And then we're going to make sure that we get our spacing correct by going to this little format drop-down menu and choosing paragraph. That format button is on the bottom left of the modify style dialog box. Okay, so for the paragraph dialog box that pops up afterwards, the indentation should be 0 for the left, 0 for the right, and for spacing, before should be 0 point, after should be 0 point, line spacing should be double, and you need to have it checked, the option for don't add space between paragraphs of the same style. Then click OK, and OK once again. Now that the heading 1 style matches the formatting of the rest of your document, it's time to show how to create a table of contents entry. So we have an example page right here with the dedication page. All you're going to do is place your cursor just before the title, and then click in the Style section, heading 1. To make sure it applied, you should see this tiny little gray arrow pop up right on the left side of your heading. If you're a Mac user, you might not get this helpful arrow. So you'll need to go to the navigation pane. The way you do that is you head up to the View tab, then check Yes in the Show section for navigation pane. Here you can see that the dedication came through, so the heading style did in fact apply. And when you applied the heading style 1, it removed your page title style, so you can just add back that center to make sure it matches the rest of your document. Now, once you've applied heading 1 to all page titles, chapter titles, and relevant headings within your paper, you're going to go to the dedicated page in your document for the table of contents. It should be located after the abstract page and before the list of tables, list of figures pages. Now, once you're in that page, head to the Reference tab and then choose Table of Contents. And then from the drop-down menu, choose Automatic Table 2. Now, as you can see, this does not match our formatting template. Now, from here, there's going to be a few things that you'll need to manually change to get the left side of the screen to match what is shown on the right side of the screen. On the right side of the screen, I have pulled up the multi-article technical manual. I'm on page 30 of the PDF. It shows the table of contents starting on page 30 through 31, how ultimately your table of contents should appear. Now, before we get started with making the left side look like the right side, I want to give out a word of warning. Any manual changes you make to this should be one of the very last things you complete. This is because if you add or delete any headings in your paper and then need to update your entire table of contents because of this removal or this addition, all the edits you make to this will completely erase and you will have to go through and start again, unfortunately. Allow me to demonstrate. So I'm going to go ahead and make dedication quite large. And then I'm going to go to the upper left side of the table and choose Update Table. And then choose Update Entire Table and click OK. So as you can see, all the dedication is back to its original size and not the large size that I had set it to. However, if you're just doing the page numbers, which hopefully when you reach the end of this process, you'll just be needing to update the page numbers before you hand it over to us. You will, if you make an edit, kind of like I did before with making the dedication large, and you choose update table and then choose update page numbers only and click OK, it will hold on to those manual edits you make. So you just need to make sure that the organization of your paper is set in stone and that you don't need to add or remove any sections of your paper before you start the formatting of the table of contents. So now that I've warned, sufficiently warned, I'm going to go ahead and select all of the table of contents text, and I'm going to get it as close to the right side as I possibly can. So I need to change both the font and I need to change the spacing. So for this example, that would be Times New Roman, size 12, all black font, and I can notice here on the right side that there's no unnecessary bolds or italics. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the bolds and remove the italics. So now I've gotten it pretty close, but I need to focus on the spacing. So for that, everything is still selected. I haven't unselected anything yet. I'm going to right click, choose paragraph. In the spacing section, choose 0 for before, 0 for after, double for line spacing, and check yes for don't add space between paragraphs of the same style, and then click OK. Already, it is much closer to the right side than it was previously. So now that your spacing is set up, let's do the table of contents type. The title, it should be centered, obviously, and then it should be all caps. The way I change this to all caps is I can simply go to the change case button in the font section of the home tab and choose uppercase. And now it matches what's on the right. Now you can go line by line and see that mostly everything looks similar until we reach our chapter titles. The TW formatting for the chapter title is Roman numeral, period, space, chapter title in all caps. So all you need to do to make it match what's on the right side here is add plain text. So I add in that Roman numeral, and for some reason it's bringing in an underline, but don't worry about it. I'll get rid of that later. And just add the appropriate Roman numeral in front of the all caps chapter title. Okay, so once again, I select the text that's different before moving forward and getting rid of that underline. Okay. Now that we've applied that to our chapter titles, the next thing you're going to want to fix is the heading capitalization. So the general capitalization rule for headings are that they need to be capitalized according to title case. So for example, if you look at chapter 2 here, this heading level 1, in the paper is in all caps because it is capitalized, or the heading is in all caps, like it's supposed to be for AMA 11. But in the table of contents, we don't want it to come through as all caps. So what you're going to need to do is go ahead and choose capitalize each word from, once again, the change case button in the font section of the home tab, and choose capitalize each word. Now, if for whatever reason it doesn't actually capitalize each word, you're just going to need to go and change it as plain text, like I just did. And also, my headings are going to be different from your headings in that all of mine are very universal and all the words need to be capitalized, whereas the headings in your paper could include prepositions that should not be capitalized. So you need to be familiar with both your, need to be familiar with your style guides, rules about capitalization, and then just capitalize your headings according to your style guides rules for title case capitalization. For example, APA, all words over 4 letters are capitalized, so that includes prepositions. So things like with and between, they are capitalized, but that is not the case for all style guides. You need to get familiar with your style guides rules. So yes, here we go. Just gonna apply that capitalize each word here. Oh, and also for the references here. Okay, and then if you go ahead and note here, your appendices should be capitalized, but we're going to worry about the appendices section in a moment. So we're just going to focus on heading levels for now. We're just focusing on headings for now. So if you note here, it says not indented. So your heading level ones, none of them should be indented. Right now, they're all coming through as heading level ones. You're going to have to change it manually in order to make the organization here in the table of contents match the organization that's in your paper. So in order to do that, you're going to want to indent your heading level 2 to 0.5 inches. And the way to do that is by right-clicking on that line and going to paragraph, and then choosing 0.5 for indentation on the left, and then clicking OK. Sorry, apologies. You need to highlight the entire line and then add in the indentation and then click OK. And then for some reason, it'll do that. But if you click Control Z and undo it, it'll do what you want it to do. What can I say? Word's fun. So once again, you highlight, okay, for heading level 3, for heading levels 3 through 5 and beyond, they will be as indicated over here, indented 0.5 past the previous heading level. So that's right there, heading level 2. So this should be indented to 1. So the way you do that is by, once again, right-clicking, choosing paragraph, and then the inch should be 1, and then clicking Okay. And then for some reason, it will freak out a little bit. And then you click undo and Control Z, and it will apply correctly. And so you're just gonna go ahead and apply that to all of the appropriate guys. Now you'll note that your chapter references, I am leaving as unindented as well, because they will always be categorized as a heading level 1 in your paper. But this is just included in the table of contents guide to showcase how the setup for your paper should be chapter references instead of one cumulative list of references at the end. Each chapter should have its own references that are specific to that chapter, and all references will be formatted like a heading level 1. I'm going to go ahead and click on this one so you understand what I'm saying. So this is the same format as this. APA heading level 1s are centered, capitalized, and in bold. This is a heading 1 section. So this is how heading level 1s are capitalized, and all references are heading level 1. So you can see for the published paper here, which is in AMA style, this is how their heading level 1s are formatted, and this is how their references are formatted. Just to give you a baseline understanding of how those are formatted in your paper. Anywho, so once again, paragraph 0.5, Control Z, paragraph 1, okay, Control Z, paragraph 0.5, okay, Control Z, paragraph 1, Control Z, last ones, that's why. There we go. Okay. Okay. So now all of the heading levels are organized correctly according to how they are organized within your paper. So now we're going to go on to the appendices section. And so the way you set up the appendices section is you go to the end of the line of your last chapter's chapter references and click enter. And then you're just going to write in plain text appendices. Sometimes it'll come through like this, and you just, once again, make sure that it matches the rest of your text, including the spacing. Okay. And it just be plain text. There should be no periods, and there should not be a page number, and there should not be an entry within your paper that says appendices. This is just a title line for your table of contents. Now, the last thing you're going to want to do is, if you note the appendices section, once again, no dots or page numbers here, not indented. And then there's also a relevant letter, period, space, capitalized appendices titles. So We're going to go to change case. We're going to choose capitalize each word. And then for most style guides, that for should not be capitalized. So I'm going to lowercase it. And then I'm going to add A period B. Oh, A period space, sorry. B period space. And then I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those underlines. This formatting differentiates again from the chapter title. It is similar to the chapter title, but it is different in that the entry should just be capitalized and not in all caps. So C period, appendix C title in all caps. Or no, capitalized, not in all caps. Okay. Now, real quick, I want to show a common mistake I see students make. This will remove all the wonderful formatting I just did, but it's important that you know when you're formatting your table of contents. Many students like to select both lines of their chapter titles when they're doing the table of contents, but you only need to select the chapter title line. You do not need to include this. So just this one line. So only this line, not the first line. So do not include the chapter Roman numeral line, just the chapter title line as when you're indicating it throughout your document. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you how it looks when both are selected. I'm going to go update entire table, and click OK. See? Both come through as separate entries. Okay, so it won't let me select both. Here we go. And you only need one. So just go ahead. If you accidentally go ahead and make both a title, then all you need to do to get rid of that is select the one you don't want to be and make it normal, which ideally, in an ideal world, that would match your base formatting. So you didn't have to worry about that. But once you click normal, now only one entry is included. It's sort of choosing it as normal removes it from the navigation pane, removes it as an entry in the table of contents. So now if I go back and I update entire table, there's only one line. I recommend just selecting the actual chapter title so you don't have to write that out, and you just have to insert the appropriate Roman numeral in your formatting of the table later on. The other common mistake I see is students not knowing where to capitalize and where to caps lock. So once again, all front matter page titles are in all caps. So that's the dedication, acknowledgement, abstract, list of tables, list of figures. And then chapter titles are in caps lock. So that's anything that there's a Roman numeral in front of. And then the appendices title line. And that is it. No other entries should be in all caps. Everything else, all headings, all references, chapter references, and all appendices titles should be capitalized, not in all caps. And that is the end of the demonstration. Happy formatting.